served so admirably for years in that position. But you got a guy like Kyrie Irvine that's making some noise right now because of the whole vaccination situation. I guess the question to ask you would be, what's your take on all of the noise that has been made about the vaccine situation involving the NBA, considering the mandates that exist in New York and San Francisco that potentially compromised Andrew Wiggins before he ended up getting vaccinated. And of course, it's still compromising potentially the Brooklyn Nets because Kyrie, at least at this moment in time, hasn't handled that situation. What are your thoughts about all of that?
Yeah, I think every situation is personal. Every situation is different and it's personal. It's not up to me to make a decision for anybody except for me and my family. I had some unbelievable years as the president of the PA and still involved here and there in different things. But yeah, I feel on any situation it's up to that individual, and they have to make that decision for them and their family.
Let me transition to Why Not Us, because obviously you're the executive producer of that. We're going to focus on FAMU football. There's no question about that. You're an executive producer. It's exclusively on ESPN Plus.
It was an effort to get you tissues. We'll stay focused, though. It's just one of them days. How's this going to play out?
I think Kyrie ultimately will end up coming to his senses and get back on the basketball court. He obviously is a smart dude, but you can be so smart that you end up doing dumb things because you just think that you're so much more brilliant than the rest.
Yeah.
And I definitely think that that's the situation with Kyrie Irvine right now. What he is doing, once again, he is a distraction, and I don't give a damn what anybody says. It's inexcusable. The reality is that there's a whole bunch of people out here that are suspicious and skeptical about being vaccinated, but we did it. Why? Because not only is it something that's been mandated for the most part by a lot of employers in this country, but also it appears to be the right thing to do because of the potential to contaminate other people. And obviously we're dealing with a pandemic. We haven't had to deal with this in our lifetime. The last one that existed was a century ago. We get all of that. Kyrie doesn't appear to care. And in the end, everybody's thinking about him. I'm going to tell you right now, I think that's the wrong thing to do. The focus of all of this needs to be shifted to one Mr. Kevin Durant. He is the face of the Brooklyn Nets franchise. He is the best player on the planet as far as I'm concerned at this particular moment in time. What he wants is what he gets from the Brooklyn Nets. And if it were not for KD, I believe the Brooklyn Nets would be on the phone trying to trade Kyrie. Now, they would have a tough time moving him because Kyrie has given the impressions that he would retire before he accepted a trade. A matter of fact, I think somebody quoted him as saying as such. Obviously, that's not something that he wants to deal with. He doesn't want to deal with a trade. He chose Brooklyn. He got KD to pick Brooklyn, okay? So you got teams that know that he would be reluctant to play ball. As a basketball player, there isn't a team on the planet that wouldn't want him because he's just a spectacular player. But off the basketball court, he is considered a head case. He is considered a bit loose and a bit bizarre, okay? And he's got people in his camp like his dad and others, and I can bring them up because they feel the need to speak up for him from time to time, who are doing nothing but serving the role as enablers at this particular moment in time. And as a result, it's going to come down to KD because here is why. Kevin Durant is a baller. And what I mean by that is this is a brother that showed up to nightclubs with high tops on. This brother he thinks about nothing but hooping, nothing but hooping. He don't care about nothing but hooping, okay? That's what KD is. And James Harden is that way too. They are hoopers. Kyrie Irvine not playing ball with them is a problem. It is up to KD to step in and step up and say, yo, bro, I'm with you. I got your back. I support you 1,000% so long as you on this court with me. But if you're not going to be on this court with me, you going to come up against everything we planned. Nobody planned on a pandemic. Nobody saw that coming. But these are our circumstances and our situations. Clearly, Kevin Durant is vaccinated because he wouldn't be allowed to play in practice if he were not. So James Harden, same situation. There's one man that hasn't shown up, and that's Kyrie Irvine. And by the way, I hear that he's been in fantastic shape. He came in ready to ball. He looks great. He's been balling throughout the offseason. He's ready to go, so nobody's questioning his love for the game. They just know that that's not the only thing he loves, and he's a bit distracted. It's going to be up to Kevin Durant to either reel him in or give the Brooklyn Nets the okay to move on from him. That is officially where the focus should lie, Kendrick and Marcus, because the bottom line is you certainly can't just rely on Kyrie because of all the important things that are on his mind outside of what he gets paid to do and get paid $35 million this season to do it, okay? This dude's got other things on his mind, and a lot of people say, hey, we know how spectacular he is, but we can't trust where his head is right now. This is what the situation is, Kendrick Perkins.
You know what? Listening to Steve Nash talk in that interview, he looked frustrated. And I would be frustrated as well because, listen, the Brooklyn Nets actually was thinking and considering about changing their practice location to accommodate Kyrie Irving. And Steve Nash was basically said, no, we're not doing that. It's not fair to the other 14 guys in the locker room. That's one thing. Now, look. Here's the problem, the main problem that I have with Kyrie Irving. You know, Kevin Durant, this supposed to be your homie. This supposed to be your partner. Kevin Durant goes to war and have Kyrie back, whether Kyrie is right or wrong. All the time he support Kyrie and tells us, hey, that's Kyrie's decision, or he's a man. Kyrie is going to be all right. Kevin Durant has had his back 100%. And now Kyrie is messing up the whole game plan for the Brooklyn Nets because the whole plan was for all three of them to be signed under contract extensions going into this season. Kevin Durant has signed his contract extension. Kyrie Irving was supposed to be next, but now Kyrie Irving, since he don't want to get vaccinated and he still need to do his research, he's holding up the whole process because James Harden was then supposed to sign right after him. But now what do we hear James Harden saying? We hear James Harden saying, hey, I never experienced free agency. I might want to do it for the first time. Now, look, granted, he still has time. He still has a deadline, James Harden do, to sign a contract extension. But if he don't, then I feel like KD needs to make a decision. Hey, look, Kyrie, look, what are you going to do? What are you going to do? Because I have this brother in James Harden, who's also a hell of a basketball player, who also that I could possibly lose in free agency because James Harden might be sitting back saying, let me evaluate this situation. Let me evaluate and see what's going on with Kyrie and how they're going to handle him, or if KD is going to actually step up. Like you said, Stephen, and say, hey, bro, look, I done had your back long enough. You done told us as an organization, you done told us that you were going to get vaccinated and you didn't miss your appointment. You didn't miss your appointment. You had an appointment set up and you missed it. So what are you going to do, bro? Like, what are you going to do? And I think at some point in time, Kyrie is going to rub KD the wrong way, and KD is going to get frustrated, and KD is going to push him and make him make a decision. But ultimately, this comes down to what does Kevin Durant want? He want to continue to be friends with Kyrie Irving, hold him accountable, or he gonna say, you know what? I got James Harden, this other killer on the side of me. Kyrie, if you don't want to get down with the program, we move forward.
Okay, let's hear from Marcus. Go ahead, Marcus.
Listen, man, I both of y'all make logical points, but Kyrie a grown-ass man, all right? And I understand what the sentiment is about what KD should be doing or what James Harden should be doing, but we all men in this league, man. And the bottom line is Kyrie is not going accordingly to what the plan was. So I agree with y'all on that stance, but I'm not putting this on KD's plate. I ain't putting this on James Harden's plate. Kyrie Irving been making irrational decisions. I hit Big Perk up sometimes and be like, man, what the hell Kyrie thinking? What he doing, right? It's irrational. And y'all asking two other dudes to come and be responsible for what another grown man doing. And I disagree with that. I get the understanding of the plan and what they wanted to do in Brooklyn and how much KD may have an impact on who Kyrie is and the decision-making process that Kyrie is going through. But these dudes they are individuals trying to come together to make something happen on the basketball court. We are talking about a totally different situation, and I get it. Trust me, this is not for me to argue with both of y'all. This is not for me to disagree with both of y'all. But at some point, man, like we all play sports. Stephen A., you played sports, you had teammates. Perk, you played sports, you had teammates. Man, at some point, it's deaf ears, bro. Like, I'm sure KD done had this conversation. I'm sure that the brass at Brooklyn done had the conversation. The bottom line is Kyrie Irving has been doing irrational things. He's been making decisions. I've watched you and Perk, Stephen A., talk about Kyrie Irving decision making and things that he was doing throughout his career before the pandemic. So I'm not laying this on KD's plate. I'm not laying this on James Harden's plate.
Yeah. Swagoo, here's the problem. You have no choice. And here's what I mean by this. It's KD's team. And the Brooklyn Nets can't make a move without consulting with KD because he's that franchise and he's that important to them. And he's so tight with Kyrie, that Brooklyn would be highly reluctant to do anything. What I'm saying and what KP is saying is, it's a different day. At some point in time, you can't hold the Brooklyn Nets hostage as an organization.
No doubt.
To your will if you're KD because you're being protective of Kyrie, a brother that's got so much different stuff on his mind that he ain't there for you as of yet. Now, the games haven't been played. Regular season hasn't started.
Stephen A., hold on. I get the cachet and the relationship of KD and how KD could talk to him, etc. But what about money? I don't care how much money someone makes. He could miss $380,000 per home game. You think the man's just going to walk away from that?
I don't think so, Molly. But Molly, you can't predict anything with Kyrie. A lot of people.
I mean, that's mega money.
Listen, Kendrick Perkins will tell you this. First of all, Kyrie has already made over 100.
Doesn't matter. You make more money and the bills get bigger.
Molly, you're not Kyrie. We're talking about Kyrie. We ain't talking about Molly now.
Yeah.
We ain't talking about me. We ain't talking about KP. We ain't talking about Marcus. We ain't talking about a lot of people. We talking about Kyrie. And he is considered a bit touched, dare I say, a bit bizarre. And as a result, he is the kind of person, KP, tell me if I'm wrong, he is considered the kind of person that has the potential to walk away from $35 million. Now, I don't believe it. I believe ultimately he'll give in. But would he lose a couple of million along the way to make his point? Is he that kind of dude? Yes. I didn't say it was right. But that's it.
But man, Brooklyn, Bobby Marks, KD, Steve Nash, all of these dudes, just the point that's been made. Kyrie knows what's at stake. Like, I get it that he irrational, but let's not give Kyrie Irving a pass on his responsibility and start bringing other people. Look, if KD is telling the Brooklyn Nets, hey, don't let Kyrie go. Kyrie going through something, don't let him go. At some point, the Brooklyn Nets brass and ownership has to say, listen, he's not going to be available. Kevin Durant, if he continues on this path, regardless of if you want him on this basketball team, he won't be available.
They know that, Marcus, but they're so tight with each other. The Brooklyn have, but in the same breath, they're reluctant to have it because KD has shown unwavering support for his brother. Go ahead, KP.
And this goes back to the point of why I said that it's going to come a time if Kyrie Irving don't get vaccinated and don't go with the plan that they all discuss, Kevin Durant is going to have to make a decision. Is it going to be, I'm going to stand with James Harden and the rest of my teammates in the organization, LaMarcus Aldridge, who just came out of retirement to go to Brooklyn to try to win a championship, Blake Griffin, who signed with Brooklyn to try to win a championship. See, Kyrie Irving knows that Kevin Durant has the power. So long as Kyrie Irving and Kevin Durant are tight, Kyrie is going to be allowed to do those things. And Molly, to your point about Kyrie giving back his money and losing money, right? Look, I always tell these young guys and tell the guys, hey, look, never give back your lettuce. Get all your money because this is a job at the end of the day. But when we hear reports about Kyrie Irving saying, if I get traded, I'm considering retiring, You got to believe it.
But
He don't care.
But then why is he getting in shape? And why are you saying he's looking great? He's
so
ready
that's
to
my,
go.
He doesn't believe it's
Molly,
gonna
that's
happen.
my point. That's my
Yeah.
point. You like, I get it.
Gonna
I get
play.
it that the relationship, Stephen A. and Perk, y'all so close to this. Y'all way closer than this. But if KD listening to Kyrie say that kind of foolishness, what the hell is KD thinking?
Which
That's
is
what
why
I'm
we
saying.
said KD. Reigning Western Conference champions. That's number 9 on my list. And who better to talk to that about that than anybody else than the one and only Chris Paul, point guard extraordinaire for the Phoenix Suns. What's going on, Big Time? How are you?
I'm well, Stephen A. And yourself?
I'm doing great, man. I want to get into a lot of things with you. I definitely want to talk to you about FAMU and what you're executive producing on ESPN Plus. We'll get into that in a few minutes. But the first order of business is the sport of basketball. First of all, how are you guys feeling right now? How are you feeling about your team for this upcoming season?
Good, really good. We're excited. I think the best thing our team got coming back this year is continuity. We got a lot of the same faces that we had last year, but just like everybody else, we got to start over.
You finished 51-21 last season, CP3. You won the Western Conference Finals. Did that surprise you at all that you guys were able to pull that off? Was that your expectations when you first arrived there last year?
I don't think it surprised us at all. And every time we step on the court, we expect to win. The guys in our locker room, the coaching staff that we had and that we have now, being led by Monty. He's an unbelievable coach, a mentor, and we just try to stick to our principles, and we'll do the same this year.
Y'all lost in the finals. Y'all were up 2-0 and ended up losing to the finals. As you reflect on what transpired in that NBA finals that led to y'all defeat, what do you really, really focus on? What do you peel from that experience? How did it happen?
Man, you learn so much. We lost to a really good team, good Bucks team. They beat us. Obviously, there's a lot of things that I feel like I could have done better, things that we could have done better as a team. But you learn from it and you move on, and you have to get ready for this upcoming season.
DeAndre Ayton is a big time player. He really showed a lot of promise and development as the season progressed last year. I thought he really had a good playoff. Then obviously he ran into a little something different in Giannis Antetokounmpo and the Milwaukee Bucks in the NBA Finals. Now he sits here and he's making news because there seems to be a stall in contract talks or what have you. How concerned are you that this is a guy that's not going to be a part of the long-term plans for the Phoenix Suns in the future? I can't imagine that's going to be the case, but how concerned are you about that?
I'm not concerned. That's the business of the game. Those contract talks happen as players, agents, all that stuff. We got Mikal Bridges, another guy who's a big part of our team. So, hopefully that stuff will take care of itself so we can get back to playing and, doing what we do.
As you reflect on your career, particularly over the last 2 seasons, I remember a couple of seasons ago, people looked at you and they wondered how much you had left. Yet you arrive in Phoenix after being an all-star in Oklahoma City the previous year. You arrive in Phoenix. You play lights out. You're an all-star again. You average 16-9 on the season, and you lead this team to the NBA Finals. What did last year say to you? I know what it said to everybody else in the basketball universe about you and how extraordinary you are as a point guard. What did it say to you about yourself at this point in time in your career?
Man, I think it just told me to keep working. I think over the years, I'm so blessed to be going into my 17th season, but it's about the work. It's about putting the work in and day out and being grateful for the opportunity. But yeah, that was it. It's never been about anything else but the work. This is a kid's game that we get a chance to take care of our families playing. And I'm going to continue to do that and try to do it at a high level.
You constantly preach that message all the time, but it's not just about you. You say that message for a lot of people out there, for people who don't know you. A lot of times you play the role of a mentor to a lot of people. A lot of cats call you up, they listen to you, they get your guidance and your tutelage and what have you. Do you feel that it's important now more than ever to disseminate that kind of message about it being about the work? And if so, why do you feel at this particular moment in time that it's important to send that kind of message?
Yeah, it's funny you say that. It's always been about the work. And for me, Like I'm big in grassroots basketball, right? So my dad spent his entire 401k on me and my brother playing travel basketball. My mom was team mom on every AAU trip. And so the fact that we have our own program and I have the opportunity to see kids who use this game to change their lives, right? So I think for me, it's just always that is if I know something, if I got any piece of knowledge that'll help the next guy, help the next young lady, whoever it may be, then I can't help but to share it.
I got you. Let me transition real quick to the subject of a Kyrie Irving right now. I know you're no longer the